Hey folks, Crimson Blaze here. Welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my cook kit and some of the options that I consider for what goes into my cook kit based on the type of backpacking trip that I'm planning. So I have different types of stoves, fuel, pots, spoons, lighters, all of these different things that I have considered and have come up with what I think is my ideal cook kit. So I thought I'd talk about some of the options that I have considered and the reasoning of why I choose the certain gear that goes into my cook kit based on the type of trip that I'm planning. First, let's talk about stoves. And the primary stove that I use on most of my backpacking trips is a canister stove. This is the BRS 3000 titanium stove. It weighs 26 grams, which is less than an ounce, and it is fantastic. I absolutely love this stove. Another stove that I might use is an alcohol stove. You know, you've seen them out there where people take the cat food, little cans, punch some holes in it, extremely lightweight. I think this is 14 grams. It's less than half an ounce. So both of these are really lightweight options. Now, when you're considering a stove, one important thing that you need to think about is where are you backpacking? Because there are some places where they do not allow what they call an open flame. And that would be like the alcohol, that would be the wood fire burning stoves. A stove that doesn't have an on or off switch. So for this canister stove, I have a switch here where I can turn off the flame. So for example, when I was backpacking the Colorado Trail, they had fire bans. And when they had fire bans, there are certain areas where they would not allow an open flame. You needed to have a stove that you could turn off. Otherwise, like when you use the alcohol in this one, you have to wait till it burns off completely. So that's one thing that you'll need to consider when you're picking out your stove is where are you backpacking and do they allow an open flame stove? But I try to go as lightweight as I can. I'm not really a foodie on the trail. I mean, I can eat ramen and mac and cheese and be fine. And that's why this works really well for me. But if you are going to cook your meals in your pot and you need more fuel efficiency, then you probably want to get a better stove than this. But I chose it because it's less than an ounce, and that is awesome. Now, why would I use an alcohol stove when it's allowed? So back in the day, when I first started backpacking, I was trying to go ultralight. Like I tried to save weight every ounce, everywhere that I could. So like I said, this is 26 grams. This is 14 grams. So I may be saving at most half an ounce, but that's why I would choose alcohol stove to go lighter weight because of the fuel that it uses provides me a much lighter weight option. So if it's allowed and I'm trying to go, extremely lightweight, as light as I can, then I'm going to use an alcohol stove. And speaking about the fuel in here, let me now talk about the different types of fuels and how also that could save me a little bit of weight. Obviously, for my canister stove, I use a propane canister. And what I use is the smallest one that is out there. I think that's the 100-gram one. And this will last me almost the entire backpacking season. So on average, this will last 6 to 8 backpacking trips, where those trips are like 3 days in length, and I'm cooking, 2 of my breakfasts and 2 of my dinners. And again, I can do that because I'm only boiling water. It only takes a minute to boil water, so I'm not using a lot of fuel. So this works out really well. It's really small, fits into my pot, and I like that. But if you are going to cook into your pot and you need to cook like 10 minutes or longer, then you probably want to get maybe the next level up size of this. This could probably handle 1 trip, maybe 2. But to be safe, I'd like to have a little more fuel than less. So But this works out really great for me on my trips. Now for my alcohol stove, I use something that's called Heat. And I got this off of Amazon, cost about $2, so not expensive at all. And it's alcohol that burns pretty clean. And what I do is I put it in a little tiny container. I mark it as fuel. I don't want to drink it. And I mark off the ounces of filling it up. And I do that because 1 ounce for me is enough to boil like 12 to 15 ounces of water. And that's really all I need. So I like the alcohol option because I can take exactly what I need. So when I'm planning out my meals, I plan, how many times I'm going to cook breakfast, dinner. I generally never cook for lunch. I don't drink coffee, things like that. So all I'm doing is figuring out how many meals I need to cook. And that's really 1 ounce of this fuel that's going to take to do that. And therefore, I can take exactly the amount of fuel that I need. Whereas this, I'm taking this on every single trip, right? And there's a lot of fuel that I am not going to use. But again, it's not heavy. This is a little bit lighter than this, but it is smaller. It's easier to pack away. And I like the idea of carrying exactly what I need. Now let's talk about my cook pots. What you've seen on almost all of my trips is this 550 milliliter Toaks titanium cook pot. And it's great. I really love it. It has the etchings on the inside where you can see how much water you're pouring in. And because I'm only boiling water, this 550 milliliter is enough for me. So if you're going to cook your meals in your pot, you're probably going to need something bigger for me. But my strategy has always been trying to minimize what's going into my cook kit, as well as just in my base weight, right? And I like the strategy of just boiling water for a couple reasons. One, I don't have to clean my cook pot, right? I'm just boiling water. So that saves me a chore of having to clean out my cook pot when I'm done. Two, I don't have to use extra water. Sometimes I'm in a spot where I just have enough water for me to drink and to eat, and I don't want to waste any extra water trying to clean my pot. So that's really the strategy that I use in trying to minimize, my cooking and cleaning effort around camp. And this 550 milliliter pot works just great. It is perfect for the size that I need. It holds my canister perfectly, the fuel that I need, and it's great. I really love it. This other cook pot that I have, this is the Evernew 1300 milliliter pot. And as you can see, it's huge. And I'll take this pot on special occasions, right? So when I am backpacking with my wife, I want to bring along special food or special treats, right? Like I said, I'm not a foodie. I just need to boil water, rehydrate my meal, and I'm good. But when my wife is along, I might want to have something a little more special. Well, what this Evernew pot is going to allow me to do is I can steam like muffins and brownies. And I've done that on a couple of my trips. The last one I can remember is in Four Pass Loop, Maroon Bells. I was with my wife, and we made some brownies, which are more like lava cakes, but still excellent. Blueberry muffins for in the morning, and it's great. And how this happens, or how you can do that, is it has these little cups, right? So you put your mixture in there in these little containers, and it has this little rubber thing on the bottom. So you put this in here, then you put your cup on top of that, and you fill this with water just above the blue, right? And then you steam it for 10, maybe 12 minutes. And so I'll bring this along on special occasions. I'll never really bring it when I am by myself. And so if I do bring this, I probably will bring a larger propane canister because I have to cook it for 10 or 12 minutes. And so I want more fuel with me to cook this along with my other meals. So that is definitely considered a luxury item. A couple other things that I consider as part of my cook kit are a spoon and a lighter. Now for the spoon, as you see, most people have this titanium spoon. It's lightweight, it's great, and that's what I see most people use. But this is not what I use. I use this foldable spoon, and I love it. It's not titanium, it's plastic, it's lightweight, but it's long enough for me to eat out of a bag. But what I really love about it is that it is a little lighter weight than the titanium spoon. And sometimes I can be a graham weenie, but I like that it just folds, right? And because it folds, now I can put it into my cook pot a lot easier than I can this spoon. So if I'm carrying this spoon, I would put it into my food bag, which is fine. So again, not a huge deal, not anything that's of any significance, but I do love my foldable spoon. I got this at Shields, which is a store here in Colorado, and I love it. I've never seen it anywhere else, and I'll use it until it breaks. The other thing that I use as part of my cook kit is a lighter, and this is the Mini Bic lighter, and this is generally my go-to lighter that I have. But another type of lighter that I have considered is one of these torch lighters. And these things are awesome. I really do love them. And I started using a torch when I was using alcohol stoves more often. Because you'll see sometimes, when people have their stove, right, and they're trying to light their lighter, right, they're trying to light it. They're like, boom, they're trying to get their hand out really quick. So instead I saw this and I'm like, oh, that would be great. And now you're just kind of like, popping it in there and it works really well. So definitely you can use a Mini Bic lighter with this. It's again, it's no big deal. This was just in the early days when I was trying out different equipment, different gear, seeing how things worked, what I liked and didn't like. And I do like this. This is a great little tool. I definitely think this is easier for like starting a fire when you have a fire starter or Kindle, right? This makes it a lot easier to light that kindling as opposed to this. But this is much heavier and it's much bulkier and bigger than the Mini Bic. But it is a cool little lighter that I consider sometimes as part of my cook kit. Well, those are the things that I consider when putting together my cook kit for a backpacking trip. But 90% of the time, what I'm using is this little koozie that's going to hold my 550 milliliter pot really well, really snug, with my propane canister. I've got my little canister stove, the BRS, spoon, as well as my mini lighter, right? All that goes in there, and that weighs around 11 ounces, which I think is pretty good for the functionality and ease of use that I get, the compactability. I think that is great. Now, if I use a stove and alcohol instead of the propane canister, then it's 9 ounces. So again, I'm only saving a couple ounces, but for those people out there who are really wanting to save every ounce and gram, then an alcohol stove is going to be a little bit lighter. But this right here is my go-to cook kit, and it's worked great for me. I hope this gives you some ideas of what to put in your cook kit for your next backpacking trip. If you have any questions or thoughts, just put them in the comments below, and I'd be glad to answer them if I can. All right, folks, thanks for watching. Until my next adventure, keep on blazing.